Hi everyone, I'm Siriwong, an engineering manager from Coinbase. Last year, I led the Coinbase app rewrite from native to React Native. And today I want to share our experience on the journey. So today I'm gonna share about why did we rewrite in React Native, and at the beginning, how did we approach the rewrite, the project timeline and key results, and then sharing the challenges and learnings that we have. So the first question is, why did we rewrite in React Native? At the, uh, at the end of 2019, we observed that our velocity to add a new feature in the Coinbase app is not great. For features, it took several months on each platform and a lot of coordination across teams. This is by no means because the mobile native technology is bad. However, our app architecture state was too complex and complicated to make any change without fear of regressions. The app has been built with a lot of changes in many years. We did try to fix the architecture, but it was so hard to fix the foundations while having a lot of pressure to build a new feature at the same time. Also, our teams at that time have about 8 people on Android and 10 people on iOS, which is divided by the platform at that time into teams. It also create communication and consistency challenge. For example, when we build features, we need to check what another team or another platform is doing. And when there's a bug, we need to check whether it's happening on iOS or Android or both. Hiring is also another challenge. It was really hard to hire native engineers than web engineers at that time. I remember that the whole year we hire maybe one Android engineers or two Android engineers at that time. We did try to convert some of the web engineers to Android, but it wasn't really successful. Also, at Coinbase at that time, we have a lot of deep talent pool of JS engineers. We have a lot of staff engineers on the website. That makes the React Native a great choice for us. With all of this, we were thinking about rewriting our Coinbase main app in React Native. So how did we approach the rewrite? First, we start with the Android app. Why Android app? At that time, our Android app generates lesser than half of the revenue from iOS. Android apps also doesn't have the same feature set as the iOS. It has much less features, and so it's easier to reach the feature parity. Also, we have less number of people on Android compared to the number of iOS engineers at that time. So that's why Android app was chosen to be rewrite in React Native. And we will see how it happened for the React Native before we move to the iOS. Second, we are talking about should we rewrite or should we do brownfield? And we decided to do the rewrite or greenfield because of the complexity. It's not just the complexity, it's also a lot of several other challenges. For example, if we have a new features, we need to decide which feature to do in native, which features we want to do in React Native. If you modify the existing features, should we really try to convert in React Native or not? Those are the questions that we need to decide if we do the brownfield. Also, with the greenfield, we can create a separate team working on the new app, which is separate from the existing app. So it's easier to ring fence the resource that needed to move forward. Next is we integrate the existing Android engineers at that time. So the original team composed of 6 people, and then we bring in 2 Android engineers and we train them in React Native. They haven't done any React Native or TypeScript before, so we train them. We host several sessions to decide the architect of the new app with the existing Android team to learn more on what data layer that we're going to use, how the error handling, navigations, deep links, or any like native quirks or native module that we need to write as part of these rewrites. Then we create the architectures and design document to support all these current use cases that we have on the existing app. So those engineers, the Android engineers, proved to be incredible value to the project. Not only they have like context on how the app function works inside out, they can also look up the existing code base when the requirement is not clear. Because we rewrite from scratch, that means there's going to be a lot of features that no one knows about. They also can work on the native modules since they have the expertise on the native language as well. So these Android engineers were the key to our project success. Before we start, we also create the Coinbase design system that composed of primitive like what's color, theme, scaling, elevation, layout, spacing, and components like what's the text, button, control, logo, cells, tabs. Those are the key components, so we can build UI really much easier than building the custom UI or try to match with the screen by screen. And engineers can focus on the functionalities than focus on building the UI. And as a result, UI is more consistent and it make it more polished and higher quality. And the CDS or Coinbase Design System is the foundation to be used and improved upon even today. And the last thing that we did was to set the guardrail metrics and the timeline at the beginning. This is so important to set the right expectation, especially to the management. It provides the milestone, the transparency on how the project is going. We can evaluate the project progress and provide go no go decision at any given point in time because we already set what to expect. On the metrics and guardrail, it is really important to discuss even before we starting the project on what's the success look like. Let's say that we want to launch the app tomorrow. What the metrics going to be? We expect metrics to be stay neutral, to go to increase or to drop, and how much drop that we can tolerate. Especially for our app, how much revenue on the metrics that we can tolerate during the rollout, for example. So this is really critical to align at the beginning. So I'm going to talk about the timeline on the projects and the key results. So we started the project in March 2020. At that time, we didn't know that the rewrite will be successful. That's why you can see that in here, the timeline, we still continue to develop native Android. We still continue to build like native iOS features. And we start to gain more insight once we hit the first milestone, which is the internal dog food in July. So we have very basic bare minimum that can do only trade, and you can and checking price, so we can see, look and feel, and be able to use, get into the hand of people inside the company. So we start to gain more insight how long the project will be, and also gain more confidence on the project success. So at that time, we stopped the Android native development. But we still continue to develop on iOS because we don't know that the Android launch gonna be successful. And then we roll out, we ready by October 2020, we roll out the Android, and it was really successful in terms of metrics, the usage, engagement, and also performance metrics as well. After that, we continue to catch up all the missing features that iOS has done, and then launch on iOS in January 2021. So the whole project took about a little bit less than a year from the beginning. On the key results, we track several key results here on both Android and iOS. So the performance, there's no regressions on the performance that we are tracking. The cold start time improved. The tab transition time, crash also reduced as well. On the key business metrics, it actually increased across all the metrics that we are tracking, including the revenue as well. And the app rating for Android, the quality of the app is higher than before. So the rating increased from 3.8 to the 4.4. So it was really a surprise on the rewrite of the project as a whole. We thought that it's going to be neutral, but actually it's even better. So I want to share the challenges and the learnings of the project that we had. So the first one is clearly the performance. As you know that the React Native has a performance deficit from the native versions. We put emphasis on the performance at the beginning. We measure performance early, try to reduce the number of re-rendering, which is like can cause a jittery. And at that time, our data layer using the REST hook, which calling multiple APIs and in the same screen and cause a lot of re-rendering. So we did a lot of optimization on the client side, includes like caching and rewrite some of the main API during the cold start to aggregate into the single API to improve the cold start time. As a result, the app performance is not regressed from before. During the project, we create a tool to track the performance. The key is to focus and measure performance metrics from the beginning. The next challenge is deciding how to roll out the new app. We have been debating whether we want to roll out as a totally new app or a combined app that contains both new and old version together with the switch. With the timeline complexity, we decided to go with a simpler approach by rolling out a new app and mitigate the launch using the slow rollout of the Android release process in Play Store. It's definitely not easy to measure the impact as we have no control on who's getting the old versions, who's getting the new versions, but it helped us save a lot of time and mitigate the rollout risks. Before we roll out, we leverage the beta program. We also do the qualitative survey to people to participate in this program. We measure the score before and after, also catching some bug in between. What we learned is that we need to dog food earlier and create a beta program and make sure that we understand how to roll out and measure the metrics properly. Another thing that really important is the leadership support. The rewrite, especially at this scale, is a year-long project. It means that we couldn't develop a new features for a year. This is a lot of pressure. The key is to show progress and small win. It helps the leadership also helping resourcing and communicate. We need to communicate with them, make sure that to check in with each milestone. Once the project moves forward, the leadership needs to bring in the existing native engineers who were not working on the project. We need to change and stop the hiring pipeline, switching from native to React Native and TypeScript. During the rollout, there were times to make a call whether we need to move forward or not based on the metrics. Setting expectation early, constant progress, and communications are the key to get support and alignment from the leadership. Another learning is re-platformize existing native engineers. If you think about it, a native engineer got hired to the company, and now we ask them to switch and relearn the new language and platform, the TypeScript, the React Native. We did have a plan. We have a training program. We provide them support, mentorship to ensure the transition to be successful. We also provide a guideline on how we evaluate individual person performance during the transition as well to make sure that we don't penalize them because of the change of platform and they cannot operate at the highest level. Replatformizations is definitely very challenging but doable. And also for us, in our case, we were so lucky that there was no attrition as part of the transitions. After we launch, we can see the success of people transitions, building features on React Native. At, at the beginning of the project, we have like 20 native engineers, and now we hiring more engineers and we scale the number of engineers to be more than 100 engineers and keep growing. The key is to provide transparency for all the existing native engineers. How we gonna train them, how we gonna set the right expectation during the transition and each milestone when they're gonna stop native development on the existing app, when you're gonna move on to the new app, and how that going to work. So we need to provide them the support during the transition. And that is the story of how we rewrite the Coinbase app. Thank you.